Are there comments from the public? No. Consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Pat. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Pam. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Board Chair's report. Today, Good Morning Wilton ran a note from me to the Wilton community, thanking them for their partnership and trust, especially in the season of thanks, and giving special recognition to our teachers, administrators, staff, parents, and students as recognition and accolades for our district pour in. Wilton's children are learning, playing, growing, thriving, and achieving. Every year, we are getting better at getting better. And that is a testament to the value Wilton places on education and the value the board places on ensuring the district's time and resources are organized and structured to create the best possible learning environment for all who walk through our school doors. I would also like to just remind the community that the board and the administration does not monitor social media discussions, either on PTA forums or elsewhere. Please direct your questions, concerns, or please also feel free to share good news through district-provided channels such as email, telephone, and public comment. I'd also like to take a moment to thank our schools and veterans for the tremendous and meaningful programming and learning that took place across the district this past week. Thank you to all who serve and have served. Again, thank you, Wilton, and we wish everyone a happy and healthy and safe holiday break.
Great, thank you. So how about this? Let's congratulate Sue Stedham and her students in the Marine Biology Club who last Friday attended the 18th Flatfish Biology Conference in Westbrook. They presented alongside representatives from Harbor Watch and Earth Place. Their research topic was comparison of juvenile winter flounder abundance in two Long Island Sound embayments. I had to go look up what embayment meant. So,
And?
The bays.
Got it.
Right along the coastline, which made complete sense. So they were really excited. What a neat opportunity. They were with biologists from all around the country and Canada. And that's another experience of our students getting some amazing real-world connection to real-world concerns. We want to take the opportunity again just to congratulate the students and the cast who participated in Harry Potter.
Yes,
They
they were great.
They just brought the house down. Sold out the Queen, I think, close to 2 nights in a row. And congratulations again to Professor Dumbledore.
The ghost dog.
Amazing. That's great. I sent you the note last Friday. Apparently now U.S. News and World Report ranks middle schools and elementary schools, and so we want to congratulate Jory and his team. Middlebrook was ranked number 4 in the state of Connecticut for middle schools and recognized as number 1 in mathematics. So that's terrific news. You're all, I'm sure, aware, so for the good of the community here, during the Board of Finance's meeting last week, the members voted unanimously to establish budget guidance for the Board of Education at a 4% increase. So I've shared this information with the leadership team, and we are busy preparing budgets as we speak. Hopefully you saw when you walked in, the podcasting studios are complete. We want to thank the Wilton Education Foundation, who is donating $20,000 to outfit those studios, so that kids are really excited to get in there and continue to work with Mr. Dunash, who is teaching that class. I also just want to note for you, the Vision of a Learner Task Force met earlier this week, yesterday actually, and so there's really some great continued development work underway in each of the buildings. We've talked and you've seen examples of the ICANN statements that were developed as part of that. So as the curriculum update revisions continue to take place in all areas, those attributes through the ICANN statements are being woven into the curriculum that way. Right now, we are looking at how do we begin to gather and assess evidence. We have the kind of well-designed and pretty thorough CAP capstone experience, which some of you got to see a little bit last year when we had students come and present their portfolios. So we're looking to extend that portfolio development opportunity down beginning in Center Mill. Jason Greasley and the LLC team has been kind of working on that, and then Bill Antonitis is interfacing with the LLC team at Middlebrook to begin to talk about what that could look like. And the big picture idea is to get kids to be thinking about each of those attributes in a developmentally appropriate way, starting to gather evidence that they can, again, continue to, deepen their own reflective process and have that carry through to when they come here to the high school. We'll plan an opportunity later this winter where we'll invite high school kids back again, and they can just showcase some portfolios because they do continue to get better and better as each year goes by. And then just the last update item. So the governance committee met a week or so ago. The policy committee met last night. We looked pretty carefully at the transfer policy. The transfer policy is silent on unexpended funds. To your concern, I don't have a concern that I think I'm well within my right to do that, but in deference to the board, as I said already, I would choose to do that differently. So we looked at some model policies. We have the transfer policy, we have a budget development policy. Shipment and Goodwin maintains a policy that combines those two and adds a provision for managing unexpended funds at the end of a fiscal year. So you may recall in this last legislative cycle, the legislature changed the law, so now boards of education have the authority to establish non-lapsing accounts in which unexpended budget funds from a previous fiscal year can be deposited. So I think what my proposal is to the policy committee and to the board, we'll take a look at those policies, we'll integrate what we have, we'll add that provision around unexpended funds, and then that will be the governance mechanism for managing.
Great.
So we'll bring that forward in the next month. That's all I have.
Thank you. Financial report.
Oh, I'm sorry. So Lila's not here. She's taking her class right now. So you have the report. Listen, again, on the good news front, we contracted with a company during the summer to come in and look at all of our phone lines and to go through and see which ones are active, which ones were not active. They conducted an analysis and we found a number of lines that we've been carrying for years. And so we shut all those lines down, and we're anticipating that we'll be saving going forward, just under $20,000 a year, which is great news. And then, with the rest of it, we're in a good place. So, nothing really out of the ordinary here. We're still early on in the year, but we're not seeing any, significant variances anywhere.
I think it's tremendous that we're on track this year, where previous years we had already been in a freeze
Yeah,
or
that's-
been,
Going towards it, so I'm just really pleased with the way the year is unfolding.
Yeah, agreed. And, our goal this year is to not be in a position where we have to freeze the budget.
Yeah.
So far, that's looking good. We're still waiting to hear a final determination from the State Department of Education about excess cost reimbursement. But I think we budgeted conservatively, so we should be okay there.
Great. Thank you. Any questions on the financial report? Math update. Trudy, thank you. Sorry that you didn't get to present last go around, but we're so excited to have you here.
Everybody's
This is a
favorite
story.
subject, math, right? It's
No.
mine, anyway. I don't know.
Well, I was just reminiscing of the state of the world from when I joined the board 5.5 years ago, and the math program to the state of the world of our math program today. So this is a great moment.
Yes. And we're going to talk a little bit about that tonight. So, thank you. Good evening. I'm here to provide a little bit of an update on the, okay, sorry. We're doing the whole technology thing. Here, let's go back.
And just so a
That's
commercial
fine.
while they're setting that up, if you look around, you'll see the room,
There.
the technology room upgrade is almost complete. There are 3
You wanna slide it over?
cameras.
Oh, you have
2
to escape.
computers, and there are speakers now in the back of the room, so people who are in the gallery, once the system is operational,
micromanaging
we'll be able
the
to hear everything
technology.
that's
There
happening
we go.
here at this table.
And it's through these mics?
So the mics will, I believe, still be in place, and then everything is going to run kind of through that and then down into the control room downstairs. So we'll have 1 or 2 kids downstairs managing all. These cameras. will-
That's fine. We'll just leave it there. That's,
And so Eric tells you we're decide what we're going to do.
Nice.
yeah, awesome, beautiful. Now, is this plugged in, or are you going to hit me? It's good. Awesome, thank you. Reboot. Good evening. I'm here to provide a little bit of an update on the math program. I'm going to talk a little bit about where we've been, where we are, and where I hope we go. So yeah, you're right. We've navigated a pandemic. We have completed 2 math curriculum reviews. We've implemented a number of changes to our program, and I'm thrilled to say I think the story of our math program is one of success. We've worked very hard over the last 6 years to identify and implement best practices in instruction, to bring on and utilize high-quality instructional resources to support students, and that impact has been positive, and I'm hopeful that we can continue to build on that success. There, a little too much. Come on. There we go, got it. Multitasking is hard. In 2018, we conducted our first math curriculum review. We identified a number of significant changes to the math program, including a revised course sequence, particularly at the secondary level, which was designed primarily to ensure that students have the foundation in math that they need to be successful in high school and beyond. We made a commitment to using high-quality instructional materials and to ensure necessary instructional time across the district, all with the focus on student learning. There we go. The sequence of the changes is kind of represented on the slide, beginning with the course sequence change and our early days of use of the illustrative math instructional program. It's important to note, we were very careful about implementing these changes. They were phased in beginning in 2019-2020. What a time to start something new. The phased approach, I think, was really beneficial for us. It allowed us to better manage resources, both financially and human, and it gave teachers and students time to adapt to the program changes, and it also gave us time to monitor the impact of the changes as we progressed. So, there we go. Let's just linger a little bit in the evidence. I think the impact has been resoundingly positive, particularly at the middle school level, which is where we started a lot of our work, so it's not surprising that we would see the results there first. They're color-coded so you can see not only the results across years, but you can follow the cohorts from year to year. We're beginning to see get some real traction from what we're doing even beyond the middle school, and that's a really important thing. I think even though one could question whether or not U.S. News & World Report should be ranking middle schools, I'll still take the #1 in math any day of the week, and I think Jory will too. So we really made a decision. What was at the heart of everything that we did was a decision to prioritize what was best for students and foundational math learning, which is one of the reasons we started at the middle school. The most profound changes as a result of the Common Core really took place at the middle school, and that was one of the reasons why we honed in there. I'm going to do a little brag for a moment here. Even today, I still hear from people, well, I noticed New Canaan starts leveling classes in 4th grade, and Darien starts accelerating in 5th grade, and Westport starts leveling and accelerating in 6th grade. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say doing what everyone else does doesn't make us number one in the state. Carving our own path based on what we know is good for students is what worked, and I think that's what we're going to continue to be committed to. Through this process, there's a number of things that we did, and I'm going to hone in on a couple of areas that I think people have had questions about, but sort of paint a bigger picture. With respect to utilizing the illustrative math program as our primary instructional resource, that was a big jump. We went from Math in Focus, which was not as aligned to the Common Core standards as we had hoped. We utilized some self-curated resources for a time, and then when illustrative math became available, we recognized what a high-quality instructional resource it was, and we began to start using it in our classrooms. That required a lot of support for teachers, and fortunately, in each building that we've taken that step, we've had the help of the instructional coaches to support the work of the teachers. We've also supplemented with a range of outside professional learning opportunities. We spent a lot of time in the early days at Middlebrook helping teachers unpack units and modify those units, particularly 2021, adapting to the hybrid learning model and the impact on instructional time. And I think that had a very beneficial effect, because I think the teachers who've been using the program for as long as they have really understand the learning progressions that are embedded and really understand how students progress in their learning. We monitored student experiences, particularly with the 2 accelerated courses at the high school, and I wanted to talk about those a little bit. In terms of the 3 and 2 course, I want to say at the outset, this course is one of the 2 accelerated options that we created to provide students more pathways to accelerate through high school. This is an intentionally rigorous 2-year math course. We found that the rigor of the course, however, was not fully understood by some students, and those students chose to leave the course after 1 year. And that's fine. It's an off-ramp, I think we called it in the early days. If a student found that this really wasn't the right thing for them to be doing, they got a full year credit in geometry and moved into another honors level course, Algebra 2 Honors. The first 3 and 2 cohort, we saw more students exit than we anticipated. It was 19 students and 6 students exited. In the second year, we saw a similar exodus of about a third of the students after year 1. So we studied what was going on. We talked to the students. Most of the students who left decided to leave the course because they said they really didn't have any intention of taking multivariable calculus senior year, and therefore it probably made more sense to do the 1-year courses. Some students also shared that it was challenging to manage the workload in the 3 and 2 course with other honors level courses that we're taking and their extracurricular commitments outside of school. So what did we do? We revised the placement criteria for the 3 and 2 course and our communication about the course to stress that the 3 and 2 course is intentionally designed to be rigorous and is really for students whose goal is to reach multivariable calculus by senior year. We communicated to families that in addition to meeting the placement criteria, families also needed to consider their child's course load and extracurricular commitments when deciding whether or not to enroll in the course. So without diminishing the rigor of the course, we also adjusted pacing and provided additional practice resources for students who remained in the course. So what does that all mean? Even with the number of students who chose to leave the 3 and 2 course after the first year, we found that in each of the first two cohorts, the number of students who will most likely enroll in multivariable calculus in 12th grade, which is next year, not this year, will be 13 and 16 respectively. This represents 3% to 5% of the senior class and is consistent with the percentage of students who have enrolled in multivariable calculus since its inception. Class numbers range from a low of 8 to a high of 18.
Can I just ask you a quick question?
Sure.
The 3-2 course, is that the only way to reach multivariate calculus? by
Yes.
senior year? So
Yes.
that's the only, so
Yes.
that's
Yes.
the only pathway
Yeah.
to...
We
Yeah.
were very intentional about wanting to preserve that pathway,
Yeah.
even for those 8 to 10 to
Right.
12 to 18 students who have been consistently enrolling the course since its inception. I'm not even sure what year we began it, but it's been around for a while. But that number has remained relatively constant. It was kind of a do no harm approach, and we successfully preserved that.
Preserved.
Yeah. The first cohort of 3 and 2 students is currently enrolled in AP Calculus BC, and all are experiencing success. And the other side of it, the other accelerated course that we created, the Integrated Algebra 1 Geometry course, has been successful as well. The first cohort of 19 students in the Algebra 1 Geometry course completed Algebra 2 last year, and we took the time to look at their grades. Were they prepared? Were they not prepared? All were fully prepared, earning grades of B or better. 3 of those students enrolled in Algebra 2 honors and completed the course with Bs. So in year 2, from year 1 of 19 students, year 2, 28 students, which is the second cohort, are currently enrolled in Algebra 2, and we will monitor their progression through that course. And this year, there are 42 students in the Algebra 1 Geometry course. So what this means, when you take the number of students who have the opportunity to experience some form of calculus in high school, so that includes all the students who take Algebra 1 at Middlebrook in 8th grade, and the students who are enrolled in the Integrated Algebra 1 Geometry class, the percentage of students who do that will grow from about a consistent 30% of graduating seniors to closer to 40% as early as next year. Now, I just want to say, I don't think that our goal was to increase the number of students taking calculus, but to provide the opportunity for students who might. And I think this approach really has.
So it's just given a longer runway for people to access it.
Exactly.
So
But-
you can do it through being accelerated 7th, 8th, or
Right.
you can do it just starting in high school
Right.
and still get there.
And this doesn't even address the other options, which admittedly far fewer students take, like doubling up sophomore year in geometry and Algebra 2. Some students even elect to study outside of Wilton High School and then take a final exam to place in the next level course. So these are not big numbers, but those are options for some students. The most important thing to remember is we were, like a lot of our counterparts, we're accelerating students without a strong foundation in middle school math. And that's where we saw students struggling later on. And look, I'm a former high school teacher, and I saw this firsthand. When students don't have that solid foundation in ratio and proportions, equations and expressions in the early part of algebra, sometimes that catches up with you. It doesn't always catch up with you the next year. Sometimes it doesn't happen until Algebra 2 or pre-calculus. And it's a struggle for students, so it's vitally important to get that foundation solidified, and that's what our hope was pursuing this.
If you have 41 kids now taking that class as a freshman, that
Yeah.
means that if they're feeling that they're coming out of Middlebrook
Yeah.
prepared to take that
Yeah,
that step. Yeah.
There's a number of reasons. One, I think we've shored up some of the struggles that we had during the that everybody had at every grade level during the pandemic, right? We've nailed down a better schedule to provide more instructional time. The teachers are more familiar, more comfortable with the program, and are really pretty skilled at providing the kids with the foundation that they need. And I think to the extent you can use Smarter Balance and our own monitoring assessments, I think we're seeing kids consistently prove that they have mastered the curriculum and the standards of that grade level. So where do we go from here is we're focused on building on the success we've experienced. We need to continue to focus on high-quality math instruction. Some of that is embedded in the illustrative math program. Some of our teachers, a good number in fact, are exploring and utilizing the instructional practices embedded in building thinking classrooms. And we also need to work on closing that achievement gap between struggling students and those who don't struggle. There we go. Great. All right, so that kind of guided our focus in the curriculum review that we conducted last year. We followed the same format that we typically do. We do an analysis of issues and trends. We do stakeholder feedback surveys, pull all that information together to come up with the recommendation for the next level of work. We focused our recommendation on 4 kind of key areas. Systems alignment, so how are we doing both within grades, within buildings, and across grades and buildings? How can we align the resources and practices so that we are very coherent and consistent across the pre-K-12 continuum? How do we ensure that all students have access to grade level, course level mathematics? And in that, we remain committed to utilizing the accelerated learning framework. That's evidenced in our work around task design, and it's evidenced around our work in constantly looking at how we support what students need. Communication and community partnerships, we're committed to updating the materials and the website and information about what we've done and where we're going. We're also going to look at how do we create new opportunities for students. Just as we looked at the middle school and high school continuum, we're taking a good look at the high school. And I want to go back for a minute to a data point that I cited earlier. And I talked about the fact that 30 to up to 40% of our students experience calculus. That means most of our students don't take calculus before they graduate. And that's fine. That's not a bad thing, but what are we doing for those students? How are we considering what their needs are? And we're looking at some key questions. Do we offer the math course pathways that fully meet the needs of most high school students? What could alternatives to calculus, or in some cases pre-calculus, look like? And how do we go about researching and establishing some of those options? I'm working closely with the high school team, the IL, the math coach. One of the courses that we're looking at is a one-year course where one semester would be geometry and one semester would be statistics. We're looking at who would take that, what does that mean, what does a student need to do to get there, and where would they go after. In addition, we're looking at other options that we might want to bring online, probably options that focus more on data analysis, gathering data, describing data, using data to make decisions. Truth be told, my background is I taught AP statistics for 10 years, so I have a bias for that content. We're studying these options, and when it's appropriate, we would fully plan to come in front of the Board of Ed and present the appropriate 6141s that we might need.
I think it could be interesting to look at perhaps, first and second year business programs or college programs, those types of math that they're looking for kids to have that are not necessarily calculus? Because
yes.
a lot of those programs want those kids to take their calculus or their class anyhow.
Right.
So establishing, a foundation in that or a pathway through that would be.
Potentially like science-based statistics versus like.
Science-based statistics, social studies-based
Yeah,
statistics,
having some
huge.
focuses there would be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. This is just a quick kind of where we are right now based on coming out of the second curriculum review. We have already, we're in the process of updating course descriptions and content for our website. We're in the process of researching at least one or more new high school courses. The other thing that I meant to mention, one of the things that we need to look at is how we support our students. A gap that we identified in the curriculum review was math fact fluency at the elementary level. And we have brought online a program, a platform really, called Math Fact Lab that enables students to practice. We still teach math facts. That's embedded in our courses. But this provides students the opportunity to individualize their practice and develop their fluency in math facts. Addition and subtraction through second grade, and then in third grade when they start to learn multiplication facts and stuff. All the feedback I've heard from teachers are that they love it. The kids love it. They're able to print out an individualized report, which some parents might see at their conferences, showing what level their student is at, where they need to go next, how they've progressed, how much time they're practicing. So this is, I think, a really helpful tool to support what teachers are doing in the classroom, and it's kind of a smart use of technology rather than I know we're all concerned about screen time, but this is a really good practice tool. And some of you may see it at home. We're improving program coherence. What that means is now that we've kind of launched into illustrative math, we're spending time refining our implementation, and I work closely with the coaches in all three buildings to do that work. And we're going to continue to monitor student experiences in the accelerated courses to ensure that we've got it right. And you'll probably still get phone calls, as I do, about this.
There's been some change in what used to be the level 1 math classes?
Yeah,
the
yeah.
kids that needed extra help through math minis. Can you remind me what's changed in that?
Yeah, so last year, we de-leveled Algebra 1, so that means there's no longer a level 1 class. Let's talk a little bit about why that makes sense. I think what you find is that when students start in a level 1 class, they never leave. And I have data, I get more data than anybody, but I have data that shows that enrollment in level 1 classes didn't decline, it grew. And it was never, if you believe, as I believe, that students really are entitled to have access to grade level math or course level math, level 1 courses really aren't that for many students. Now, there's a lot we need to do prior to high school to ready students, but we made the decision to de-level and provide support for students. We've revisioned, and now we carried that forward to geometry this year. We have revisioned what the math minis look like. We've used our map data to say, okay, students who are below the 50th, 40th, 50th percentile really should have some extra support in math, regardless of whether they have an IEP 504 or not otherwise identified in any way as struggling students. They have time based on their schedule, and if students have an IEP and they need to spend time in academic lab based on their IEP for part of that time, they are spending at least a 40-minute period in the 4-day cycle with the interventionist at the high school focused on addressing prerequisite skills and support in the current content. And that's something that we brought on this year, and that's how it's working.
So if they see the math interventionist, it's really tied in with what their classroom teacher is teaching them? Because I've had
Yes.
feedback that
Well, there is intervention, and there's some kids who are receiving straight-up intervention. But the extra math support, aligned with Algebra 1 and geometry, is focused on where are students with the prerequisite skills or the skills they need to engage successfully in the current unit of instruction. That's the first level of support, and that's what the interventionist addresses with them first. And if they need additional support along the way as they progress through the unit, then the intervention teacher will address those needs with them.
so the extra help is all provided with an interventionist and not a math teacher.
No, she's a certified math
Math
teacher.
teacher,
She's
yeah.
certified 712.
Yeah.
Yeah. She used to be at Middle Point.
I had a question just back on the data slide. I don't know if we can go back to it.
Sure, we can do that. Yeah, very good.
Is there something, so like the numbers are up across the board. The one exception I was seeing is just in 5th grade.
Yeah, there was a dip in 5th grade.
Both within the cohort, the class itself. So
Yep.
the kids, that 5th grade class this year, when they were in 4th grade, they achieved at 75%.
And they dipped.
And
And
they
they
dipped.
dipped.
And then year over year, it's a 6 point percentage. So I'm curious, is there a circumstance about 5th grade math, or is there something?
I think it's more cohort issue. We still have a couple of cohorts that have experienced struggle. I mean, I hate to keep referring to the pandemic. We're 4 years, 5 years out of it, right? But some of these kids experienced the pandemic at really critical times. There seems to be a pattern, and I think it's related to the progression of the learning in this Common Core standards too. 3rd and 5th grade have a bigger lift for students in terms of content. 4th grade is a year where students tend to kind of double down and reinforce their learning, and you see that same pattern at middle school. 6th grade and 8th grade have the biggest content lifts, and 7th grade is a year where they are reinforcing and supporting and expanding their learning, specifically around ratio and proportions and some other things. I think it's unique to this cohort, to be quite honest, and we're working in 6th grade. Our 6th grade team is quite good at growing students.
Yeah.
And you can see that every year consistently.
Yeah, exactly. I was mapping it back, and no doubt there's lingering effects from, I mean, you just look at those numbers in 21, it's staggering.
I know.
And then you trace them through, but a lot of them gotten back up to where they were.
Yeah, we've gotten traction. We've
Yeah.
hit the point
It
where
took
we've
a while,
got...
as it should.
Understandably,
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some of them weren't in school, and then they entered 2nd grade almost.
Right.
And it was just
And-
insane.
And they're really critical times. In 1st grade, that first experience with number fluency and their first exposure to place value. Those are all really critical foundational pieces to math learning and going forward. So we've had to kind of go back and forth and shore up that support for kids.
And I could also say, though, we don't usually like to talk about personal experience, but having kids who are in middle school and still now in 2nd grade, and I hear them talk about their learning or their math, and as the illustrative math has gone through the grades and been really kind of integrated.
Yeah.
And I definitely hear them talking about it differently, or their strategies differently, or how they think of numbers in a very different way. And
Yeah.
I see those foundational pieces. I was just curious if there was finding natural connections between the illustrative math program and the thinking classrooms. If
Yes.
those seem to be working together well.
Yes. I would say, in terms of buying into and trying on and really getting into the implementing the 14 instructional practices and building thinking classrooms, I would say the middle school and the high school are probably the furthest along. We have pockets of teachers who are really jumped in all the way at the elementary school, but they're studying it. I think the big alignment that you might notice, illustrative math is a problem-based curriculum, right? So we're focused on problem solving. Building thinking classrooms is just that, thinking. And we could get into a very long conversation about our children teaching themselves, and there's a really good article that's worth reading about how to kind of disaggregate and think about all of that. I think people fear, and rightly so, something called minimally guided instruction, which is really kind of kids teaching themselves. That's not what we're doing. We're giving students the opportunity to get their hands dirty, whether it's with unifix cubes or figuring out how to graph a quadratic function. And then they try it out, we start to make sense of it, and then the role of the teacher, and this is where direct instruction comes in, is to make sense of that learning for the student. Why did this strategy work? When does it make sense to use this strategy? When might it make sense to do something else? So both, one is a program and one is an instructional approach. Both of those things really build on the idea of allowing students time to explore, but then the teacher's role is to come in and make sense of that discovery and that learning. So there is an alignment. There's also, we have 2 teachers at Middlebrook who have been working very closely with the math coach to kind of look at the progression of activities in an illustrative math unit and how to better string them together so that they can take more of a building thinking classrooms approach. So they're not at odds, they're not in conflict, and they can work well together. And we have teachers, and it's really been a remarkable kind of grassroots phenomenon among teachers. Once they start to look at it, they've really initiated the work, and they've really been the ones to say, yeah, we want to learn more, we want to do this, we want whiteboards, we want...
That's great.
Yeah,
So-
that's great. Very compelling guide, Peter.
We're actually come back and organize a workshop really around some of the building thinking classroom
Yeah,
strategies.
we thought about doing it tonight, but
Yeah,
Get your math.
some space. So we'll set up a workshop.
That would be great. Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
winter.
No. And thank you very much. I don't know if anybody else has any other...
You've done great work,
thank you,
Really?
thank you. It feels good.
really, yeah, you should feel good.
I have great partners in all the teachers and the coaches and the administrators in the building, so
But it's
it's,
been great. Thank you.
and I have great support. Thank you.
Well, for those of us that were terrible in math,
No,
it's
it's-
very interesting
Yeah.
to listen to you talk about access to it.
Yeah, yeah. Great,
This is what expertise.
Yep, yep. No, definitely.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Trudy.
Sure. Everybody have a lovely Thanksgiving. You too.
Same to you.
So Kim, do you want to bring everybody, just grab seats all the way around the table here? What you guys?
Come on up. Come on up.
Wanna get cozy?
Drink a lot of electrolytes. I had a vodka right now. I've been kind of sleeping. So tired.
Patrick doesn't.
Yeah, you guys can come.
Yeah.
I haven't in years.
Brought a lot of people tonight.
No, it's great. Thank you all for joining us.
You sit here?
Makes the meetings much better.
Lee asked if I was nervous before. And I said, no, are you nervous?
I'm so proud
It's a
of these.
very friendly group.
Oh, proud of you guys. I would never have done this at your age, so just so excited to have you guys here. So thank you. I'm here to give an update tonight on climate, community, belonging, and wellness in terms of our district work. And I'm going to give, sorry guys, grab it left click. Oh, that's right. There you go.
I'm using my left hand, I apologize.
So Maria Streeman and Tanya Leonard are here to help talk about kind of the action plans. I'm going to talk at the micro level of kind of what we're doing district-wide. They're going to talk a little bit about bringing to life what's happening in the buildings around our climate action plans, and our lovely students are going to really bring to life the work at the student level in terms of their clubs and committees that they're on, and what this work really looks like in real life. I'm also going to talk about tonight kind of the changes in my role, which includes the district DEI work and the alignment of our goals and priorities to ensure that we have a comprehensive approach to creating safe and welcoming schools for all students. Go back, I'm not ready. You went too far with me. Okay. You're going forward.
I know.
Back. 2. Great.
We still can probably do it for Louisa from my keyboard. Just to,
I knew that this would happen to me, which is why I asked you to do it. So now it's happening to you. You're going to go back to the wheel. There you go. Yep. Okay, so you guys may remember this graphic from some of my presentations last year. Wellness is at really the center of that, all we do. And so my hope tonight is just to talk about specifically the dimensions around school climate, safety, and belonging, and welcoming environment, and kind of how that relates to the work across the district. This all is connected to our vision of a learner around the safe and balanced, healthy human being. When our school communities are safe and welcoming, every student will feel a sense of belonging, fostering student wellness while promoting a positive school climate, and that's really kind of our focus. And we also have tools, you can click to the next slide, that can measure, all of these dimensions, so we can kind of see how we're progressing in these different areas. You can click again. So again, safety and belonging and the welcoming environment, this is really where our DEI work lives, and I'm going to talk tonight about how this work connects to our climate work and just kind of overall, you're going to hear over and over, and the kids will kind of bring, the students will bring to life kind of the connections of the work. There's a lot of overlap, and how we can kind of work to align this across the district. So safety and belonging is really around a couple areas: our social and emotional safety as it relates to bullying and mean behavior. When we talk about fostering belonging, we're really striving for being accepted for who you are, not fitting in. Those are two different things. And that's a big ask for our adolescents, because developmentally it's all about fitting in. But we want people to feel they belong and that their identity is kind of celebrated and welcomed within the school. So then the other pieces here are really establishing our rules and norms that guide our school, and then physical safety. I wanted to take a minute to talk a little bit about physical safety and kind of what we do around threats that happen amongst our students. We use a comprehensive threat assessment approach, which is called CSTAG. It's an evidence-based model that schools use to assess and respond to student threats of violence. And these can include student conflict, threats of fight, bullying behavior, or more serious threats. It's been developed by Dewey Cornell and his colleagues in the university, at the University of Virginia. And what it emphasizes is really the early attention to problems like bullying or other forms of student conflict. It's a flexible problem-solving approach, and the goal is really to reduce suspensions and overall improve students' well-being to create a more positive school climate. At this point, all of our administrators and our mental health staff have been trained across all 4 buildings to use this approach. It's a multidisciplinary team approach, and we receive technical assistance from the Western Regional Crisis Team. So really what the process looks at is, does a student pose a threat? And most threats are transient.
and identify students who may need targeted support due to lagging skills in problem solving, conflict resolution, or regulation skills. And so from this process of assessment, we kind of determine most threats are transient, and then really the process helps us to identify what support that student may need and where we need to kind of bolster the skills. And we use a monitoring plan to kind of then monitor that student over time. So I think it just was important to kind of, in light of kind of the climate that we're in, that we do have a targeted approach of really assessing and monitoring these students when things come up. All right, so the next dimension I want to talk about is the welcoming environment. And here, we focus on student connectedness and their involvement in school, which really impacts school culture, and their connectedness to each other and to the adults in the building. Really looking at how we welcome students, and we're going to talk about that being a focus area a little later. Also looking at the physical surroundings of the environment, looking at clear and consistent disciplinary policies, having a school environment that supports not only the academic success, but the mental and physical health of our students, and then mutual respect for individual differences such as gender, race, and culture. So again, these dimensions are really where our DEI work lives. We have a district DEI committee whose purpose is to advise, monitor, and report on the implementation of our DEI policy and our action plans. And our policy really looks at ensuring that the school environment and our curriculum promotes belonging and reflects principles of respect, dignity, and equal opportunity for all. Also to ensure that we create communities that foster belonging and inclusiveness for all students' identities. So you're gonna hear how the language will then overlap in the work that we do around climate as well. Our district climate committee has met once this year. We've drafted action plans, and one of the things that we propose is revising the committee's name to be more reflective of this, aligning this work, and looking at calling it the Community Wellness and Belonging Committee. You can go on to the next slide. Okay, so the district action plans fall right now in 3 areas. We have incident and response, family and community, and then our curriculum. The incident response action plan, the focus behind this is that if we implement high accountability and high support, a high support response framework, that this will help students understand the impact of their behavior and lead to a decrease in incidents. Also will improve our school climate. And so a big piece of the work here that we started last year and then implemented this year was developing a code of conduct, so we could communicate that with all stakeholders and be really clear about how we respond to incidents. Some of the work that we'll be working on this year is to clearly define a process for response and communicate that in terms of how do we respond for incidents and who do we respond to when incidents arise. And then aligning our restorative practices. This is a big task for us too, aligning that work with our code of conduct. And then also researching other educational and prevention programs. The next action plan, again, I'm doing the highlights of these. There's more, but these are the kind of the big highlights. Our family and community plan. This is where we're, the idea of creating an inclusive community where everybody, again, feels they have a place that they belong. And so one of the goals that we accomplished is creating, and thanks to Lucille for her work on that, but creating an inclusive calendar, and then that was that's on the district website, and it was sent out at the beginning of the school year. And then what's in progress is looking at a way to collect data from different stakeholders about their experiences, looking to partner with Chartwells to have more food offerings from different cultures, and partnering with youth serving organizations. And then the curriculum and education plan, that is really where we're looking to audit our curriculum over the next 2 years and align the social justice standards with our units of study, and then a big focus on professional development for our staff. Some of the areas of focus would be around inclusive classroom practices and culturally inclusive pedagogy. Thank you. All right, so now we're going to focus on, this is the second half of school climate, and you're going to see a lot of overlap here. Again, some of the indicators here are around safety, interpersonal relationships, something we continue to prioritize, whether it's relationships with making sure that every student has a connection with an adult, our teaching and learning practices, and then the norms and rules around the environment. Now here you can, not yet, we have a district school climate team as well, and the purpose there is to develop and foster safe climate through our in-school improvement process, which I'm going to take you through, and then again address issues related to bullying. You can click this slide. So here's the school improvement process where we gather information from stakeholders. We are required to survey our students by the state as part of our school climate plan, and then really look at that data and begin to develop action plans, get feedback around that, then continue to monitor and evaluate those climate plans, and then the process starts again. So the arrows are kind of where we are right now in the school improvement process. We surveyed back in 2022, so we're due for our survey. You can click to the next slide. Here's our timeline. We are at our first district meeting. We're gathering some feedback from the committee and finalizing our survey, making a few changes. In January, we'll be sending out notification, and then looking to survey in February and wrap up with staff in March. One of the focuses from the district committee is how we had an okay response from parents, but really looking for more feedback. So that's kind of an area that we're focusing on in terms of how do we gather more feedback and have more participation. And then the Safe School Climate Plan, we're going to see some legislative changes coming in July of 2025, and there's some changes to the bullying definition, a broadening to look at challenging behavior, and a strong emphasis on restorative practices, which we've been working on that, and we have that's something that we have staff trained, and we'll be training more staff and being more specific about some of that work, again, kind of connecting that to our code of conduct. So I'll probably be back, I say, in the spring to talk more about what that's going to look like under the new legislation. All right. So now we'll get into the actual school action plans, and I'm excited to introduce Maria, who I was talking with Kevin earlier, like this is about the first grant that big grant that I've gotten, and it was really kind of exciting to kind of come up with an idea. We won the grant, and then to hire and kind of see it actually in action. And the first grant that we applied for, we didn't get. Really, the focus here was, to hire another mental health person, they would have a limited impact. And so the idea to have someone in a position where they could work tier 1 in the classroom, helping and supporting teachers, which is Maria's role, to impact a larger group of students. So this grant, this is year 2 of the grant. In year 3, we have to absorb it's about 30% of the position, and then fully fund that in the following year. So we will be adding that smaller portion to the budget for next year. And I'll let Maria kind of talk about her role and then talk about the building action plans. But it's been a positive experience so far.
Okay, so, Maria, just before you start, I just want to add, not only did we win the grant, but we won the grant lottery in the form of Maria, who
we did.
Started last year.
Thank you.
An immediate positive impact. So you're most welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I do more than click mouses, don't worry.
It's hard to speak and click that.
It is. I wasn't even speaking, and I still was like, oh man, I messed it up. But it's all right. We are all about flexibility with SEL, right? So yes, this role has been great. I've really enjoyed working with multiple teachers, and right now I'm in the 2 elementary schools, Miller School and Cider Mill. my role really is to help support teachers implementing social emotional learning within their classrooms, which they have been doing in all sorts of ways, but really just highlighting that and helping them realize and integrate it. And also, we have the universal screeners, and so when they get the data from those, how are we going to support the students that are identified as, needing further instruction? What can we do tier 1 to help support those students within the classroom? Also for the students that are getting, maybe extra pull-out intervention with the mental health team, how are we integrating what they're learning outside, in those counseling groups or sessions, and then putting it into the classroom? What is the teacher doing as carryover? And that's kind of where I've been coming into play to help those teachers integrate those practices. Are there just certain keywords even or visuals the teachers can use to help that student further and their whole classroom then, right? Because, if there's a student or students that are having a hard time or, anything, then obviously the whole classroom environment. So again, speaking back to that community wellness and belonging, it really creates the community really improves, right, as we help students. So in regards to Miller Driscoll and their action plan, it's really helping integrate and continue the research they have with Everyday Speech, which is the social emotional learning curriculum that K through 2 are currently using. It's new this year for 2nd grade to have it, the teachers, so just ensuring that they're familiar with the tool and able to use it not just during the SEL block, but how is it being carried over into their morning meetings and outside of the classroom when the students go into their other specials. The other piece is really big this year, the collaborative commitments that Kathy Kuhn has started as a school-wide, so we're all in the building focused on these collaborative commitments that go back to the community wellness and belonging. So there are 3 sections. It's classroom, families, and faculty. So each month or so we're meeting as different teams. So even I'm including that, even though I'm only in the building part-time. So it's the support specialist, the classroom teachers, the specials teachers, everyone in the building meeting in one of those domains, whether it be the classroom, families, or faculty, and how we're integrating the community wellness and belonging initiatives and carrying those out, and what are we doing as staff, across all domains to support that initiative, which I think is great because it gets everyone involved and we're all working towards this common goal to make sure everyone's feeling welcomed. And then, just in regards to Cider Mill as well, they just started this year the 5th special with their health and wellness, which has been great for the students. It's also correlating to the counseling lessons the students are receiving as well in their classrooms, and then the social emotional lessons the teachers are providing. So you have teachers providing social emotional learning, and then you also have the counselors and the 5th special of health and wellness, which is integrating some of the social emotional learning curriculum as well. And so again, I keep saying social emotional learning, but it's also part of overall community building, right? And including everyone and showing empathy towards others, right? We all, both elementary schools just had their food drive, so we were talking about how, helping others in need, seeing how they might feel, how what you're doing can help them benefit others. At Cider Mill, they also are doing the Hive Huddles, where they have students coming together for assemblies about, showing the 3 R's, which also Miller Driscoll does as well. Our initiative for being responsible, showing respect, and being ready to learn. And Cider Mill, this year they did, the PTA donated little swag bags to the new students, so making the new students feel welcomed and included, and the principal did a lunch with them as well. And I think you had mentioned before about starting with hello. That was a big initiative at Cider Mill as well. Community members, high school members came over. The kids were very excited. It was a very exciting day when everyone was there, but it was carried on throughout the week as well. So again, making everyone feel really welcomed and included. And lastly, at Cider Mill recently, I had been lucky enough to be part of a focus group that was part from the Family Engagement Survey. And so hearing feedback from the parents, yeah, you were there too, right? Yeah, and hearing feedback from the parents about, what Cider Mill can do to improve their engagement in the community and the sense of belonging amongst them was really helpful, and obviously we'll develop an action plan around what came out of that from the feedback too.
And the focus on new students, that's really something that came up through our climate survey and through talking to student groups, of that it is hard to be new in Wilton, especially the later you transition in, because the kids transition year to year, building to building together, that moving in and being new is hard. So that's kind of a focus that's in the building action plans. So good? You good? And then next, we'll hear from Tanya Lennon, who's serving as the SEL instructional leader at Middlebrook, and she's going to bring their action plan to life.
Yes, so our action plan, really there's 3 different goals. It's student and teacher facing and families. So we're looking at, if you could skip to the next, I know I don't have control of the mouse this time. For the, really just to kind of step back in the summer work that we did to kind of bring that climate work to life, was we organized these monthly themes as a staff, and we tried to figure out if we can all just follow our SEL goals and kind of focus a month at a time, and like so that everybody from the teaching staff to the paraprofessionals to the our campus supervisors, we all know the theme and we all see it regularly, starting with Jory actually every Monday addresses our staff and our students with what the theme is, what our focus is, and we have started an announcement board that not only has the clubs to help students get involved or at community events at Trackside and what have you, but it also holds information on, this is an example from like November, and it'll have hints on like how to have those positive impacts on others. If you could click to the next. Thank you. So for example, just kind of giving you like in October, even with Max Stossel had come in as the speaker, with the goal being around your self-awareness, and the self-awareness around, we kind of embedded that, right, like from the summer, and saying, okay, how do we make that work? And the students, the whole staff had the students work on PSAs, and then we're going to use those PSAs that they made, oh my gosh, so many, I couldn't even, they were amazing. This is one of them, and we have a bank of like 60 to 70 online, and then we have all these posters, and they're just going onto our announcement board all year. The LLC actually laminated some of our hard copies, and they have them like in where they're teaching things, and teachers can take them for lessons and things. So I think these themes are kind of the start of our work. And then just as a little example, we have a lot going on, but just to give you a little example from each front, we have also started a climate and culture student advisory that meet with me once a month by grade, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. We started our work with creating our charters for 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, the charter being like, how do you want to feel in school, and what do you need to do to get there? So this is complete, the students created these 3. We have, and it's wonderful. This is the first year we tried doing charters as a grade and not a team, because our kids kind of, they like are on team and then they mingle. And then they're on team, and then they mingle. And so we were like, it would be nice in the stride teams, instead of focusing on 3 charters, or a graded charter. So far, it's been great feedback. The students, I know the 7th graders actually presented it to their team separately. That we have representation from each team. So it's been great. They actually already are starting to learn Panorama, and they actually got to do a preview of the data from last time. We did that this to prep. So they're going to be actually getting ready to create a PSA in January to help the parents and the students talk about the importance of completing the survey that's coming out in January, February, March for our staff. So they're really exciting, and they're a really amazing group of kids. And then for teachers, I think a big part was communication and making us feel heard. Thank you from the high school in terms of us grabbing the idea of the hub, and it's been a huge support for us this year, a place that we know where we can go when things are clear and we can find things. And then that just as an example, also the announcements, again, those are going to staff and students. It's like meant to keep everybody on the same page. And then the last piece is the parent piece. And so our special educational instructional leader, in terms of something that we found was impacting our climate, was the executive functioning of our students and it being difficult for everybody in middle school. And so we felt we needed a push this year. And so what we did was I would say Polly has created, along with the help of, we've been working hand in hand, that we have almost like a tip every week, and it goes to the parents, it goes to the staff, and then we made a student-facing tip. So when the kids see the little red, like we kind of put on the ask board, when you see this little red book, that's like your little tip you want to look at for the week. So there's something up every week, and that goes out to everyone, which has been great. We're using our special education staff to kind of help, kind of support and generalize to help, again, the climate feel strong and safe by everybody understanding what's happening around them. So, and then that is it.
All right.
That's a little preview.
That's it.
That's it.
Just a little bit, okay.
That's it.
And you've been in the role for 3 months?
I've been in the role since, yes.
It's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
So I'll just talk a little bit. I'm going to turn it over to the students. The climate action plan at the high school. Obviously, creating a cell phone free school has been a big part of our climate plan, and we're a week in. And I like to say it's a good start. Also looking at creating practices within the school environment that promote clear and consistent communication for staff, so they feel they have a valuable input. You kind of heard that coming from the Middlebrook staff as well. So that has been a focus. And then creating a climate where all students feel welcome and safe in our school continues to be a real focus. And so I'm going to turn it over to the students to talk about the different clubs and committees that they're involved in that is, they're focusing and working towards this issue. And I think we're going to start off with Hope Squad. Did I introduce you guys at the beginning?
Yeah, let them introduce
I'm
themselves.
sorry.
Tell us who you are and how amazing you are.
They are amazing.
So my name is Leah Lombardi. I'm a part of Hope Squad. I'm the president and Chloe.
Hi, I'm Chloe DeBrock. I'm the vice president of Hope Squad.
And so we've said it before, but just to kind of reiterate, Hope Squad is a school-based peer-to-peer suicide prevention program, training students and staff on youth suicide prevention. And our main goal is to teach students and staff and educate them on the warning signs in the student bodies, especially, and be the eyes and ears of the school, we like to call ourselves. But also, like Ms. Sima was saying, we really want to also provide a sense of kindness and inclusiveness and overall just well-being for the students.
We kind of overlap in all the categories Ms. Sima was talking about, like the emotional and physical safety for sure. We educate the students' body and staff as well about self-care. Requirements, because everyone knows being a high school student can be stressful, especially here, and that there's a lot of student athletes. And we also, another one of our goals is, this is probably our main goal, is we, as the eyes and ears of the student counseling body, I think we talked to you guys about this last year when we came, but it's really hard to go and recognize that you need help and go in and ask for help yourself. So as the eyes and ears, we notice in our student body students that may feel isolated or exhibit warning signs that we learn about in our trainings. I think it's biannually we train or we review. Just as Hope Squad members, we have these qualifications. So then we refer these students that may be struggling to the mental health staff at our school.
And so Ms. Seaman wanted us to talk a little bit about what we've been doing so far. I know you guys have heard, again, what we've been doing in the past, things such as kindness notes and bringing them around the high school, and each student would write a note and we would deliver them. Really, really cool idea, and we didn't think students would interact. But another...
we got probably 500 notes.
Yeah.
Everybody
to deliver.
It was
Love
fun.
it.
And another thing we did to kind of promote kindness was, you might have seen this online or something, we made a huge poster that said kind.
Without the I.
Yes, and without the I.
And we can
So you had to
actually
be the
show.
I in kind.
So this is a little video. So,
That's great.
yeah, we were just really trying to come up with ideas to promote kindness, and I think it worked. It was very well received. Just want to talk about a few of the other things we can do.
Yeah, so we do a lot of events like this for our whole student body. Like, even though our main goal is to recognize these struggling students, we also want to promote, like other healthy ways to just be a person in this community, to promote like the welcoming, belonging, safe community that we want. So other things we've been doing, this is Leah, she ran a marathon recently, and she supported AFSP, the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and Hope Squad as a club, like we do a lot to support this foundation, from, using their social media and posting on our social media to spread their messages, to fundraising. I think we probably fundraised around $5,000 from Leah's marathon and other things too. So recently we had a bake sale mostly for Leah's marathon, but also just raising for AFSP, and because she partnered with them. And we realized like every single person that would walk by our bake sale, like they would be like, oh, it's just another bake sale. We were at Orem's, like there's always a bake sale at Orem's. and we'd be like, we would just ask like, would you like to support suicide prevention? And they'd turn around and they'd be like, yes, everybody is touched by suicide. Mm-hmm. We would hear stories. There were so many heartfelt stories, and we weren't able to talk to the other people like Smiley as they're supposed to do at the bake sale, because we were just like so impacted by these stories. Like Missy Mo is there with us, and it's just like you always hear like every single person has a story. Especially we've been seeing in Fairfield County, there's been a lot of events that have happened recently, and it was just reinforced that idea that it's always going to be prevalent in our society. And then there's an AFSP, they do these annual suicide prevention walks to kind of spread awareness and fundraise and stuff like that. And many different communities and organizations go on walks, like there's many church groups and school groups and stuff. And Hope Squad actually helped lead the walk, which was really great. And we set up a face painting table, and it was great. So those are some events that we've been doing as well.
Thanks.
Hi, I'm Kiana. I'm part of the school climate, well, all of the things on there, but today I'll be talking about school climate. If you guys don't know what it is, it's a committee based on with students, teachers, and staff around the school, and we work together to try and talk to students and staff and see how we can improve the school climate. And one of the things that we did recently was have a new student breakfast, so we invited all the new students that are in the school to come and talk to the school climate committee and just let us know how their year has been going. And for the most part, we've really got positive feedback. Students have been able to find friends and join clubs, and they're navigating the school easily. There are some negatives that they had. One of the ones was not being able to find a teacher that they can reach out to, and I think School Climate has been trying to do a better job of this, and Hope Squad, just making sure that every student has access to all their mental health resources and making sure that teachers are reaching out to their students, especially the new freshmen coming in. And we also had an anti-bullying video during Anti-Bullying Month, which essentially talked about it was the School Climate Committee paired up with our school's media production, and we had student athletes create a video talking about what bullying is, and they did a simulation, I guess, of what a scene would look like of students on the football team making jokes, but the student who was being joked about felt as if they were being bullied. So in the video we talked about how it's important to notice the jokes that you're making and take a step back to realize that your jokes could be received as bullying or hurtful. So at School Climate we have posters and signs all around the school, just making sure that people know that if they see something that they should say something.
One of the other things that the Climate Committee kind of spearheaded and is one of the goals in one of the district action plans is we have a lot of clubs that are working kind of helping to either helping clubs or improve kind of school in general, and we would be better working together. So quarterly now we've invited one or two members from each of those clubs. There's probably about 20 different clubs to kind of come together and how can we support one another and be more effective in the work. We're stronger together. So we've implemented that and we had our first meeting. So we're excited about that work too. All right, and then last but not least,
Hi, I'm Kaylee.
I'm Sahana.
And we're 2 of the 6 commissioners for Link Crew, along with Kiana and 3 other students. So if you don't already know, Link Crew is a program similar to Hope Squad and Climate Committee, where it's all about, we focus on like inclusivity, belongingness, and just safety in the school, especially for freshmen who are in the transition process from 8th grade to the high school. So we spend the majority of our time with the freshmen and younger classmen. And we do, every Wednesday we have weekly advisories where it's a 25-minute block, and we just lead activities with the freshmen, and I don't know, all about like safety and everything, inclusivity. So.
And I think, definitely our advisories are like a good way for us to kind of get to know the freshmen and really make them feel comfortable and kind of have like a helping hand or just some upperclassmen to go to kind of share their worries or just like get some advice about how to transition. We also help out, like as the Link Crew, we help out with the orientation. We did that this year, and that was, I think, a huge success. We really got to know the freshmen, welcome them into the school environment, and get them, I guess, like ready for the year. And then there's a bunch of other things actually that we've been doing in the past few months. Last month we had a Link leadership conference up in Pomperaug High School, and this experience was like really interesting for all of us because we got to meet Link leaders from different schools, and I think Link is not that prominent in this area, so it was really nice to like kind of connect with people who are doing the same things and kind of learn from them, hear like what they struggle with, and see like the similarities. And I think a big thing that we like took away is like learning about diverse perspectives and people from, I guess, different areas outside of Fairfield County, and that really, I think, helped us. Like I took a lot back from that and like figured out new ways to talk to my like Link kids and kind of like understood a little bit more about their perspective, because there was a speaker there who really like kind of taught us to think a little bit differently and think from the perspective of like the incoming freshmen. And then also another thing that we've been doing is kind of getting in touch and working with the 8th graders rather than just starting like working with the freshmen. We decided to like kind of go down a level and go to middle school and really like understand their concerns and like kind of start from like the root and kind of help them help them transition a little bit earlier. So on Monday we actually went into Middlebrook, and we created an activity. Me and Kelly created an activity that would help teach the 8th graders about self-advocacy, which is very, very important, especially in the high school community, and like especially with like a more rigorous like academic environment. It's very important for students to self-advocate, and I think like teaching them at like the 8th grade level that's important will really help them prepare and be ready to advocate for themselves. So we created an activity for that, and we implemented that on Monday, and it was really well received, and I feel like a lot of like the 8th graders really understood that it's important to speak up for themselves and like ask teachers for questions, ask upperclassmen, and that like asking for help and like being vulnerable is okay. And then just like in conclusion, I guess like all of our clubs are very like Hope Squad and School Climate Committee like create things that like create videos and create media that like we as like Link Crew kind of implement in our advisories. Like we show all the videos, and like it just kind of shows how like all of our clubs are like very interdependent, and we're all like really working towards making like a really welcoming community for all the students at Wilson High School.
And what did you learn about teaching?
Oh my God,
It's very hard to be
Very tired at the end of the day.
Yeah, we were all.
They were exhausted. Exhausted at the end of the day.
But a good tired.
Yeah, a good tired. Yeah. We were proud of ourselves.
Yeah, we were very proud.
That's fantastic.
So one more. And so before I just go on to moving, and we'll wrap up. And I meant to say this at the beginning. I mean, you got to hear all the wonderful things that are happening and the great work that's happening, and we still have a lot of work to
to do. So I just want to acknowledge that we continue to kind of hone, and I think really the work now is kind of aligning and making sure that we have a progression across all the buildings, and it's so nice to have Maria and Tanya with the work that they're doing in their buildings, and to brainstorm and to use some of the programs that we already have in place to kind of spread the work even further. So we'll continue to kind of align the work, continue to prioritize the Tier 1 support for all students, continue our school improvement process, enhance communication with families around the work. We're working on a newsletter to kind of highlight the work that we're doing, and hopefully that will be coming in December, and then continue to support the building action plans as we kind of start the whole process again in terms of our surveys. And so thank you to our students who are bringing everything to life and for waiting tonight. I know you guys are, when they presented on Monday, I'm always blown away about how much you guys do, how involved you are in the commitment that you have. So thank you. Thank you guys as well. Any questions?
Thank you for all your work. Really, it's just great and very inspiring. So, what has been the hardest thing for you to manage so far with what you're trying to do in the schools, in the high school particularly?
I think for me, and especially the current freshmen this year, they're a very quiet group of students, so it's hard to connect with them. Not that they're bad or anything, they're just quiet and keep to themselves a lot. So it's been harder to connect with them that way and just get them to open up to us. But recently we've found activities, and it's been a topic among the commissioners. So we're currently working on getting them to open up more.
Feel a little intimidated, maybe.
Yeah. I think for Hope Squad, we were talking about how Kiana was saying, take your jokes into perspective, and around suicide prevention, there are a lot of jokes that are made. I think we really have been making an impact. I don't know if that's just around me that everyone's not saying that, but I honestly do. There's this one new student that has a pattern of saying that. My friends have been talking, and everyone, that's just one of his common, just phrases that he says. And recently, just as a Hope Squad, we always talk about this because obviously we don't want to be so against what normal students are saying, because then we won't be as trusted or as peers almost. I don't know if that makes sense. But I honestly think that, I don't know if this is just that it's not been as trendy recently, but I don't know. I just feel there has been a positive impact made. And I feel Hope Squad's name, if any of you attend a Wilton High School school day, you'll see people wearing the red, "You're not alone, it's okay to not be okay," Hope Squad bracelets. And I just think our message has really been implemented well into the student body, and everybody knows about Hope Squad. So I think that's been well received as well.
That's great.
Thank you.
Are there some boys in Hope Squad?
Yes. We have a lot, actually.
You do?
Yeah,
probably 8.
Our club is definitely growing, which is great. I think it doubled in size last year, and we're getting boys and girls in there.
Yeah, and we do work to make sure that there's students in every corner of the high school. So we have students in theater and music and the GSA, the Gay Straight Alliance. We have students everywhere, student athletes in every sport, because we want to make sure, if there's an ear of the, or eyes and ears of the Wilton High School counseling staff embedded in every area of the school, then it'll be a safer school community.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Really great.
I want to say 2 things to you guys. Number 1, you have permission to put on your college applications that you are leaving Wilton High School better than you found it. I 100% that's absolutely true, all of your collective efforts. And number 2, I want this group to applaud your leadership. Leadership is really hard. It's really hard, especially at the middle school and high school level. You take risks, you put yourself out there, not everybody understands what you're about or cares about your mission, and you bring people along and you exercise a lot of really positive influence. And, Kaylee, with the freshmen, they may not really remember it today, but they will as they mature.
All of us remember our link leaders that we're always talking about.
Good. So that's part of your legacy here, and let's not understate the importance of the work that you're doing. It's going to carry forward for years, and as you improve your various clubs, the folks that come behind you will pick up where you left off, and hopefully raise the bar even higher for everybody else. So really, really fabulous, important work, and I can say on behalf of this group and the rest of the staff here, we're super proud of you and so grateful that you stood up and said yes and you're doing the work you're doing.
I mean, every year when you guys come, I think I can't get more blown away. And every year, I just can't believe, the impact and the leadership and the poise and the commitment that you all show to yourselves, to your peers, to your community, to your school. So it's just really inspiring and something for you all to be really proud of, and it makes us, proud too. So, thank you.
We're lucky. They always say yes, too. They make the work easy.
Because I know, Kim, there's been changes in the organization and really
bring it all together.
I think bringing it all together and seeing the connections, it was really great tonight to see the connections from school to school and how those are starting to align up and to kind of link together and really kind of see how the work at Middlebrook is affecting the work in the high school and coming back the other way as well. And now with Cider Mill and Mill O'Driscoll, that phone PSA, I would love to have a copy of it so I can put it on my my non-magnetic refrigerator.
The phone is great.
But it's all just the work is tremendous and it's really impactful. So thank you.
And there's momentum. As a listener, I was so just I can't believe what you've gotten done in 3 months. I'm not surprised at all. But there's just through, all the way through, there's connection and there's momentum. So please, thank you. We're very proud.
Can I ask Maria something?
You're the board.
So, I don't want to get too far into the weeds, but tell me about when you walk into a classroom, say at Miller Driscoll, and they're in morning meeting, or is there an SEL block?
So they have morning meeting and they also have an SEL block.
So your work is at morning meeting or at the block?
So it's really whenever though. That's the beauty of my job, right? Is that SEL is embedded in the curriculum. So even last year I had started, actually it's been it's almost a year to the date when I started. So when I started last year and I was helping a few 3rd grade classrooms actually at Cider Mill, and we were doing some SEL targeted lessons for their classrooms, the feedback was that during ELA block, the students now are integrating terminology, about characteristics and about, their emotions and how the character might be feeling and perspective taking. So it was great to hear the feedback that now that SEL
They
work
have the language.
really, they really had the language and it was just naturally being embedded in their coursework. And actually I was telling Kim I think it was just last month, I was in Miller Driscoll and I was walking down the hallway just to another classroom, and it was during the morning meeting time, and I was just hearing everyone talking about the mood meter and their emotions and say hi to the person next to you, and they're all doing their morning introductions, and I was that's really what a good classroom sounds like.
That's
that's what a community, and it's a community. You're really building a community. I was so my little SEL heart was oh, this is so good. You're doing it. It's really happening. Because you can write all sorts of action plans. Kind of like Kim was saying. I wrote this grant, but now to actually it's here and it's live and it's working. That's kind of how I felt when I was walking down the hall. I was oh my gosh, I can hear it, all the different teachers in all their different ways, which is great, right? Because it's not has to all be cookie cutter, right? But it's still delivering, that's the theming, delivering that message, and then the kids really taking it and running with it, and clearly still running with it when they're in high school. It's just embedding that at the younger ages and having them carry it. It's part of them, right?
Yeah.
So,
It's great.
That's kind of similar to all of our clubs. We're all pushing forward the same 5 messages that we saw up there, and it's embedded in our whole day. So
yeah.
the message is not that complicated. Really. It's pretty basic stuff.
Yeah, right.
Sorry,
like a former
Keep it simple. Well, it isn't that complicated, it just gets so messy, because we get so messy.
Because people are,
Forget it.
yeah, we're all messy.
Yeah. But thank you.
No, that was a great question though, yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank
Thank
you
you
all.
for
Thank
being
you.
here late on a Thursday evening.
Can't see you home.
Isn't that funny? I knew she was your daughter the minute she walked in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Resemble. Yeah.
Show the board.
I'm going to show I'm representing. You have more sweat.
Somewhat.
Did you guys?
Yes. Oh, and Oh, no, we should. We're actually out. We're actually out. We handed out all like 5,000. I think we're about to, but we need to.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we did.
Bring this home.
Okay.
We do it as a bundle.
Let's let this place. Do it as a bundle?
Yeah.
All right. Is it smelling yet?
Yeah.
Okay. New course proposal 6141 Applied Arts Child Development 3. Are there any questions or discussion on that course?
No, that's a great addition.
Is there a motion to adopt the 6141 for the Applied Arts Child Development 3 course?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Heather. Is there a second? Thank you, Pam. All in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously. New course 6141 Marching Band. Are there any questions or discussion on this course? Is there a motion to approve 6141 Marching Band?
So moved.
Thank you, Nicholas. Second, Lori. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. New course 6141 Yukon ECE French Grammar and Composition. Any questions or discussion on this course? Is there a motion to approve the 6141 Yukon ECE French Grammar and Composition?
Motion.
Thank you, Patrick. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Pam. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Carries unanimously. Oh, I feel like I'm an auctioneer. New course 6141 Introduction to Engineering Design 1 and 2. Any questions or discussion on this course?
Did you miss one out?
What?
Aerospace.
Yes, my check mark was on the one above. Okay, sorry. New course 6141 Aerospace Engineering 1. Any questions or discussion on this course? Is there a motion to approve Aerospace Engineering 1?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Patrick. I'll take Heather as the second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. New course 6141 Introduction to Engineering Design 1 and 2. Any questions or discussion? Is there a motion to approve Introduction to Engineering Design 1 and 2? Thank you, Lori. Can I have a second? Thank you, Nicola. All in favor? Motion carries unanimously. New course 6141 Principles of Engineering 1 and 2. Is there a motion? Any discussion or questions? Is there a motion to approve Principles of Engineering 1 and 2?
So moved.
Thank you, Pam. Lori, second. All in favor? And then finally, new course 6141 Robotics 1 and 2. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve 6141 Robotics 1 and 2?
So moved.
Thank you, Nicola. Second.
Second.
Pam? All in favor?
Aye.
Carries unanimously.
Great, thank you.
Yes, looking forward to hearing how these go. Yes.
Good ones.
Are there any comments from the public? Hearing done, just for future business, we have Thursday, December 5th at 7 p.m., then the 19th at 7 p.m., and then January 9th in the new year. And I wish everyone a great holiday and break. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
too.
Meeting adjourned at 8:47.
That's pretty good.
Thank you.
Thanks for giving.
I can always support this. You're not that hard. A pretty cheap date, actually. Plus I stole it. That's a lot of them.
Fingers crossed for some snow.
Oh,
Up in Vermont.
That'd be